Hey guys, so today's lesson is the first lesson on Marxism. So if you look, there is on the third side there's a picture, and this is paragraph 1, historical Marxism, and this demonstrates the timeline. So you can either write this out as a timeline, or you can print the sheet up and write around it. But we've kind of looked at this already. When we did the family. So very early society, Karl Marx identified, he called it primitive communism. So if you remember what that means, it's the idea that everyone would share all the goods equally. So they would kill a mammoth and share it out equally, and that's what's meant by primitive communism. Now, over time, there was the development of the means of production. So you can see this in the image on your PowerPoint, and that factories started to develop. And that brought about two classes: the ones who owned the means of production, who we call the ruling class, and the rest of the population, who we call the working class, who have to sell their labour. And this is what's known as a capitalist society, what we're in now. So we can see that we've moved on to a capitalist society now. In the future, they think the workers will unite and will overthrow capitalism to get a communist society. So you'd start off the paragraph by saying how capitalism developed and how one day Karl Marx will overthrow it. Now on slide 4, you've got 3 questions about what capitalist society is actually like now. To answer those, there is an information sheet on slide number 5. So if I could get you to use that information to answer those 3 questions, but that is quite tough. So if you get stuck, just let me know and I'll give you some help with that. Okay, then your evaluation point. It says, using our knowledge from other lessons, what is wrong with Karl Marx simply suggesting that communism will develop in the future? Now, if you remember when we did about the science, whether sociology is science, some theorists have criticised Karl Marx because he hasn't stated when communism is likely to occur. It just said it will occur. So he hasn't explained the conditions in which it's likely to occur or when it will occur. So it's not scientific. Okay. Right, paragraph 2 is ideology. Now, what this means is that if you can note everything that's in black down, so you've got that. And what this means is the people who own the means of production also own the means of spreading ideas. So we think of guys like Rupert Murdoch, who owns the media that publishes all the information, all our ideas to us. This creates what you can see there is called a false consciousness. False consciousness is a way of thinking that suits the ruling class that might not necessarily be true. On slide 8, you've got 4 images that show how this ideology spreads. So I'm going to talk this through with you. Now, every agency of socialisation, whether it's religion, family or education, you get this hierarchy. So you can see it in the top corner, with that's within the Catholic Church, the hierarchy that's there. Now, what that does is socialise us to accept the hierarchy, so we don't question it when we enter the workplace and go against that. Secondly, in religion, I've got a quote there taken from the Bible. There is lots of quotes in the Bible that socialise us to accept inequality and do what we're told from our bosses. And that's a really key example that you can use to support the Marxist idea. Okay, the third image, we can see lots of pictures of front pages of Daily Mail blaming people on benefits and criticising them. Now, what we can do is say that shifts the blame for the problems of society being on the working class, poorest members of society, and it masks the problems that are caused by capitalism, such as the greed of corporations and crimes that the ruling class commit. Finally, we've got an image of people wearing school uniform. This conditions us to accept rules from authority and prepares us to accept these rules within the workplace. Okay, once you note that down, to evaluate, this theory assumes we've got no free will and ignores the fact that many people rebel against this form of conditioning. So we've got people who were, latest one is in the Black Lives Matter marches, that went against what the ruling class told them. Okay, now your third paragraph is all about what the capitalist workforce, what it's like working under capitalism. Now, in the notes bit, you'll see you've got a video clip to watch, and that explains alienation, job insecurity, and primitive accumulation. So if you could watch the clip and note down what each one of those is. If you're stuck on any, let me know. The one, just to warn you, primitive accumulation, they give it a title on the on the video clip as calling it something like keeping the wages low or something like that. You'll spot it when it comes. It's the third one they talk about. So make sure you're listening to that one. You should only have to watch the first half of the clip. Once you've done that, you've got an extract. If I could get you to write around it any examples of alienation, job insecurity and primitive accumulation. So highlight it and write around it. Finally, as evaluation, this theory was modelled on things like factory work and working in fast food restaurants, and ignores we've got more range of jobs now than we would have in Karl Marx time. For example, teaching is there's more people in the teaching profession where you can be creative, so you don't suffer from alienation, you're in a secure job, and you're not likely to have your salary driven down. Okay, any problems, let me know, and I hope that's all right for you.